Are you finding things aren't quite as reliable downstairs as they used to be? It's a common frustration, isn't it? Many men reach a certain age and start to notice changes in how easily or how firmly they can get an erection. Maybe things just don't respond like they used to, or maybe they work sometimes but not others. Especially when it matters most with a partner. You might feel a bit confused, maybe even discouraged, wondering why this is happening. It's a painful reality that many men face in their later years, and often, they don't talk about it. They might just accept it as getting old. But sometimes, there's more to it than just age. What if I told you there's a very common, often private habit that many men engage in, which, while perfectly natural, could be silently making it harder for you to get and keep an erection when you want to? It's a subtle thing, a pattern you might not even realize you've fallen into. But from my perspective as a surgeon dealing with these issues, I see the impact regularly. It's not about right or wrong, but about understanding how your body and brain respond to certain kinds of stimulation. In this video, we're going to look at this specific habit, why it can cause problems with getting hard during partnered sex, and most importantly, what simple adjustments you can make starting today to potentially reverse these effects and improve your erectile function. It's about retraining your system in a gentle way. Watch to the end for something that will surprise you, something that ties all of this together in a way you might not expect. So, let's dive into this. The core issue often comes down to a difference between how you train your body to respond when you're by yourself and what's needed when you're with a partner. Think of it like learning to drive a car. If you only ever practice driving in a wide-open empty parking lot, you might become incredibly skilled at that specific environment. But then, when you try to drive on a busy street with traffic lights, other cars, pedestrians, and signs, you might feel overwhelmed and unable to perform because your training was too specific and didn't prepare you for the real-world complexity. Your body's arousal and erection system can work in a similar way. Many men develop a pattern during masturbation that focuses on a very specific type, intensity, and speed of stimulation. Often, this involves a tight grip, perhaps using lubricants in a particular way, and a very focused, rapid rhythm aimed directly at achieving orgasm as quickly or intensely as possible. This becomes the parking lot of your sexual experience. Your brain and your penis learn to associate this specific type of high intensity, often mechanical stimulation with arousal and ejaculation. It's highly efficient for achieving release when alone, and there's nothing inherently wrong with seeking pleasure this way. However, over time, especially as you get older, and your system might not be as robust as it once was, consistently relying on this singular, intense method can inadvertently desensitize the nerves in your penis and condition your brain to primarily respond to only this level and type of input. Now, compare that to partnered sex. In most cases, partnered intimacy involves a wider variety of sensations. There's foreplay, kissing, touching different parts of the body, the varying pressures and rhythms of intercourse which are often less uniform and intense than a habitual solo technique. There's also the significant psychological and emotional component of being with another person, which plays a huge role in arousal for most men. When your system has been trained to expect and respond primarily to that very specific, intense solo method, the broader, softer, and more varied stimulation of partnered sex, combined with the different psychological state, might not be enough to trigger a strong, reliable erection. Your brain and body are essentially saying, "This isn't the signal I'm used to for go time." It's not that you've lost the ability to get hard entirely, but that the threshold or the type of stimulation required has shifted, making it difficult to perform in a different context, like with a partner. This creates a frustrating cycle. You struggle to get or maintain an erection with a partner, which can lead to anxiety and performance pressure. This anxiety itself is a major erection killer, releasing adrenaline that constricts blood vessels and makes it even harder to get blood flow to the penis. So, you might turn back to your reliable solo method, reinforcing the pattern that's contributing to the problem in the first place. It's a silent trap because it feels like a solution in the moment. You can still get hard when alone, but it's deepening the disconnect for partnered activity. Breaking this cycle involves consciously retraining your system. The first step is simply becoming aware of the pattern. Pay attention to how you typically masturbate. Is it always the same grip, the same speed, the same focus purely on intense physical sensation? Just noticing this is powerful. It's not about judgment, just observation. Once you understand your usual pattern, you can start to introduce variety, gently challenging your system to respond to different inputs. This is where the adjustments come in. It's about expanding your body's driving skills beyond just the empty parking lot. One of the first things to consider is varying the pressure and grip. If your usual method involves a very tight grip, try practicing with a much looser touch. Explore different parts of the penis, not just the shaft, but the head, the base, the underside. Use your whole hand, not just a tight squeeze. The goal here isn't necessarily to reach orgasm quickly, but to focus on exploring different sensations and allowing your body to respond to lighter, more varied stimulation. This helps wake up nerve endings that might have become less sensitive to subtler touches, the kind more typical during partnered sex. Another adjustment is the speed and rhythm. Instead of a rapid, relentless pace, try slowing things down significantly. Incorporate pauses. Change the rhythm frequently. Spend time just feeling the sensations without pushing towards climax. This helps decouple the idea that arousal only comes from intense, continuous friction. It allows your brain and body to get used to responding to a broader range of inputs, including slower, gentler touches that are often part of intimacy with a partner. It's about appreciating the journey, not just rushing to the destination. Introducing different textures or lubricants can also be helpful. If you always use the same lubricant, or none at all, try experimenting. Different lubricants offer different sensations. Even just using saliva or a warm washcloth can provide a completely different feel. The point is to introduce novelty and variability, preventing your system from becoming fixated on just one specific type of tactile input. Each new sensation is like learning a new maneuver in your driving lesson. It broadens your skill set and makes you more adaptable. Think about incorporating more mental stimulation. Instead of focusing solely on the physical act, try using fantasies that involve interaction with a partner, or focusing on the emotional aspects of intimacy during your solo time. This helps connect the physical response to broader forms of arousal that are essential for partnered sex. It reminds your brain that getting an erection isn't just about direct, intense physical friction, but can be linked to desire, connection, and different scenarios. This mental component is often underdeveloped when the solo habit is purely focused on rapid physical release. Now, you might be wondering, how often should I do this? Do I have to stop my usual method entirely? Not necessarily. The goal isn't to eliminate a source of pleasure, but to add variety and retraining into your routine. You can still use your preferred method sometimes, but intentionally incorporate these new, varied approaches at other times. Think of it as cross-training. If you only ever lift heavy weights, you might get strong in that specific movement, but you might lack flexibility or endurance. Adding in stretching, cardio, or different types of strength exercises creates a more well-rounded fitness. Similarly, adding variety to your solo sexual activity creates a more well-rounded sexual response system. It's also important to manage expectations. This isn't a magic bullet, and results take time and consistent effort. You're essentially trying to gently reprogram a pattern that might have been in place for years, even decades. Be patient and kind to yourself. Don't get discouraged if you don't see immediate results. The key is consistency and a willingness to experiment and explore different sensations without pressure. The focus should be on resensitizing your system and broadening the types of stimulation your brain and body respond to, making the transition to partnered sex potentially smoother and more successful. Let's talk a bit more about why. This retraining works on a physiological level. Your penis has a rich supply of nerve endings, and your brain is constantly interpreting the signals from these nerves. When you consistently stimulate these nerves in the exact same high-intensity way, the brain might start to filter out or become less sensitive to less intense signals. It's like living next to a busy train track. Eventually, you stop noticing the noise as much. By introducing varied, less intense stimulation, you encourage the nerves to fire and the brain to pay attention to these subtler inputs again. This makes it easier for your body to get aroused and initiate an erection when faced with the less focused, often gentler touch of a partner. Furthermore, the blood flow necessary for an erection is influenced by both nerve signals and psychological state. If your brain has strongly linked erection to a very specific physical action done alone, the psychological and tactile cues from a partner might not trigger the necessary cascade of events that lead to increased blood flow. By practicing responding to different inputs, including more varied physical sensations, and perhaps incorporating mental elements related to intimacy during solo time, you strengthen the pathways that connect diverse stimuli to the erectile response. It's about building new connections in your brain and nervous system. Another aspect to consider is the frequency of your solo activity, particularly if it's always done with the same technique. While there's no magic number, excessive frequency using that one specific method can potentially exacerbate the desensitization. This isn't about shame or restriction, but about strategic adjustment. If you're engaging in this specific type of high-intensity solo activity multiple times a day, every day, it might be beneficial to consciously reduce the frequency of that specific method while introducing the varied techniques we discussed. The goal is to give your nerves and brain a chance to reset and become more receptive to different kinds of stimulation. Again, this is about retraining, not deprivation. It's about making your system more adaptable and responsive in different situations. This retraining also helps with the psychological side of things. If you've been experiencing difficulty getting hard with a partner, you might have built up anxiety around it. This anxiety creates a feedback loop where the fear of not being able to get hard makes it even harder. By successfully achieving arousal and erections using different methods during your solo time, you start to rebuild confidence in your body's ability to respond to varied stimulation. This can help reduce the performance pressure and anxiety when you are with a partner, which in turn makes it easier for your body to naturally respond and achieve an erection. It's about demonstrating to yourself that your system is capable of responding in different ways. So, let's recap the key adjustments we've discussed for retraining your system. First, vary the pressure and grip during solo activity, moving away from a consistently tight hold towards exploring lighter, more varied touches. Second, change the speed and rhythm, slowing down, incorporating pauses, and avoiding a relentless, uniform pace. Third, introduce different textures and lubricants to challenge your tactile sensitivity. And fourth, incorporate more mental or emotional elements into your solo time to strengthen the connection between desire, intimacy, and physical response. Remember, these are adjustments, not rigid rules. Find what feels comfortable and pleasurable for you as you experiment. The process should be one of exploration and gentle retraining, not a chore. It's about expanding your pleasure palette and teaching your body to be more versatile. The more varied the stimulation you introduce during solo activity, the more likely your system will be able to respond effectively to the different kinds of stimulation encountered during partnered sex. It's about making your body a more flexible and responsive instrument. Now, putting all this together, the reason this particular mistake, the over-reliance on a singular, intense, and often very mechanical method during solo activity, can silently kill your ability to get hard with a partner, is because it trains your brain and body to respond to too narrow a range of stimuli. It creates a disconnect between the kind of input your system becomes accustomed to and the broader, more varied input you receive during intimacy with another person. It's not about masturbation being bad, it's about how a particular way of masturbating, when done exclusively and intensely over a long period, can inadvertently make you less responsive in a different, more common, real-world sexual scenario. By consciously introducing variety into your solo practice, changing the pressure, speed, rhythm, texture, and even incorporating mental aspects, you are actively retraining your system. You are broadening the range of stimuli that can trigger arousal and erection. You are making your nerves more sensitive to subtler touches and helping your brain connect desire and intimacy with physical response. This process is about empowering yourself, taking a common habit and making simple tweaks that can have a significant positive impact on your sexual health and your ability to enjoy intimacy with a partner. It's about adapting and optimizing your body's natural responses for different contexts. Think of it as physiotherapy for your sexual response system, just as you might do exercises to regain mobility or strength in a joint. You are doing exercises to improve the responsiveness and adaptability of your erectile function. It requires patience, consistency, and a willingness to try something different. But the potential rewards, improved erections, reduced anxiety, and more fulfilling intimacy, are well worth the effort. This is a very common pattern I see, and it's often overlooked. Many men jump straight to thinking about medications or more drastic interventions, when sometimes simply adjusting a private habit can make a noticeable difference. It's a powerful, accessible step you can take right now. Remember, small changes can make a big difference to your health and happiness. This specific issue, while personal, is incredibly common, and you are not alone in facing it. Understanding the why behind it is the first step, and taking steps to introduce variety into your solo practice is the action that can lead to real improvement. Be patient with yourself. Experiment with different techniques, and focus on reconnecting your pleasure and arousal responses to a wider range of sensations. If you found this information helpful, please share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Have you noticed anything like this yourself? What adjustments have you found helpful? Your insights could help others in this community. And if you'd like more practical advice and information on maintaining your health and vitality as you age, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. We cover a range of topics aimed at helping you live your best life. Live your best life at every age.